besides being a legend in Dalal Street, he needs no introduction. He has a trading and a business acumen. People call him the Indian Warren Buffett. I think it's even much better. He's some call him the biggest bull. But today, I want to know how bullish he continues to be about India. And Mr. Jhunjhunwala, thank you very much for joining me. Rakesh ji, what should I call you? Rakesh ji or Mr. Jhunjhunwala? What do you prefer?
Rakesh.
Rakesh. Okay, Rakesh. Thank you, Rakesh. Thank you. Thanks for joining me today. You are a self-confessed optimist. And some people are saying that it's difficult to be optimistic about India in these present circumstances. One thing that I've known about you, having read you and watched you, is that you never take a very short-term view of anything. What's your view of India right now and the period that we are going through with the second wave?
Well, Arnab, it's war. This is equivalent to a war. And we shall win it. This is a flu, it's not a cancer. And don't forget, I don't know how many millions and crores died in the Spanish flu. But the Spanish flu was followed by the roaring 20s in America. So I don't think that this flu can surely damage us in the short run, right? And it has. But I don't think it can damage India as a country in the long run. If anything, it can only make it stronger. What disturbs me, and my daughter came to me yesterday and told me, Daddy, give me some magazine where I can read something healthy and enjoy myself instead of seeing all this, doom and gloom in all the social media and the news. So I think we as Indians have to realize God has placed us in this war. We are going to win it. Let us not prophesy gloom and doom, right? I know there is a human tragedy and it's very disturbing. But it's like war, it has just come upon us. We have to fight it and win it. So I have no doubt that it's going to inflict any personal, permanent injury to the Indian economy. For anything, It will make us stronger, more resilient, more aware, and, set us to be on the path of prosperity faster.
Rakesh, why is there always a shroud of gloom that has been put over our economy by the traditional analysts, and how much of this is objective, how much of this is political, how much of this is personal in your view? I'll give you one example. For example, there is Kaushik Basu. These are professors in American universities. They say, quote, the Indian economy was doing very well till 2014 or 2016. Since then, it's been a steady downward spiral. And on the other hand, you claim that people are going to be very surprised at the way the Indian growth is going to recover and how it is going to sustain and further recover. That is my personal opinion. It's a sharp contrast. What explains this shroud of gloom perpetually put over our economy?
See, R.K. Lakshman has made a caption. There is a difference of opinion which makes things interesting. There are going to be as many opinions as there are people. I can tell you the reason for my opinion and feeling, and then we can read and try and understand the reason for other people's opinions and feelings. So I believe that it is skills, democracy, entrepreneurship, demographics, which creates prosperous societies. Right? And I think India has all of this in abundance. We are among the most skilled people in the world. We made the atom bomb. We did not steal the technology. We did not sell it. We sent a vessel to the Mars. We made one of the world's largest computers. Our engineers are among the most skilled in the world, right? So there is no doubt that India is a nation of skilled people. And all these NRIs who are successful, they should never forget that their genes are Indian, basically, right? And the genes of we poor Indians living in a poor country is no different from all these affluent Indians living in this affluent country. Second thing is that, every society goes through a demographic cycle. India for the next 25 years has the best demographic cycle of any major society in the world. Don't forget that America's greatest prosperity came through the baby boomer years. And the baby boomer years were nothing but a favorable period of the demographic cycle of America. We have entrepreneurship in abundance. In the 17th century, we were 40% of world GDP. We are a true democracy, right? And at every stage of growth, India is a democracy. It's an elephant. It can only grow slowly. For change, there are vested interests in everything. To bring about change in India is not easy. So whatever change that was brought about has been brought about in the last 4-5 years has met with great resistance. Whether it's GST, whether it's RERA, whether it's a cleansing of the corporate sector, right? So that change is now maturing. Combined with the additional, reform that government is promising and acting upon, whether it's FDI, whether it's mining, whether it's agriculture, whether it's power, whether it's selling of the public sector. I think this government is very firm that it has to do economic change. This, according to me, is going to be a lethal combination. India with this, I had told a group of NRIs, what did America and England give you? It gave you a platform. With reform in India, we are going to have as good platform in India. So these are the reasons, broad reasons, for which I remain bullish. And I don't think anything can destroy it. It can
why do I? When I listen to Raghuram Rajan Rakesh, I feel he is always describing India as a broken economy. That's been, for example, I take a specific name. He says, the Indian economy. This economy needs a lot of repair. This economy needs a lot of relief.
Arnab, I have seen videos where Mr. Rajan has advocated agricultural reform in the manner in which the government has done it in 2014. And now he opposes the same reform. So opposition for the sake of opposition means nothing. Right? And sir, he has his perceptions, I have my perceptions. Time will tell us.
Is there without talking of individuals, is there a definite move or a movement to play down the India story? And why is that happening?
I don't think Mr. Rajan or any Indian, and Mr. Rajan is an Indian, he owns the Indian passport, wants to bury down this country. But, his political interests do not meet, in my opinion, the interests of the party which is in power today. So criticism, he wants the farm bill to be discussed further. In 2006, I will show you a video of Mr. Pawar where he said in 6 months we will do this reform. And they want discussion. They've been discussing for the last 14 years. You still want to discuss it? And there was a parliamentary panel. They could have asked it to be given to a bill. The opposition is in majority in the Rajya Sabha. So I don't buy all this argument. It's high time we realize I am not interested in any socialism. I am not interested in any capitalism. I am interested in realism. I want to know what this socialism over the last 70 years has given us. It has only led to subpar growth. And I respect the opinion of Mr. Raghuram Rajan and others who have that opinion. They have a right to have their opinion. I have a right to have my opinion. Only I think sometimes the opinions are too much colored by political leanings and not by reality.
Colors is my feeling. Yeah. Rakesh, it is, I'm sorry, I'm pushing this point. It is not just now that the India story is being berated. The fact is that Amartya Sen, even in 2018 said, and I quote, things have gone pretty badly wrong. It has taken a quantum jump in the wrong direction since 2014. Now, my question to you was, which you were answering there, should we be worried about these kind of statements impacting our global positioning? And how much should we worry about them?
Well, if I was to worry about everybody's opinion, I would have been in the stock market or in the poorhouse, especially if I listen to economists in life. So they have a point of view, I have my point of view. We can all be both right and wrong. But I think a lot of these, statements and opinions are being colored by the fact that a lot of these elitist people do not like the social agenda of the government. And therefore, they are carrying their opposition to the social agenda into their economic thinking is what I think.
That's why everything is used to sort of proclaim India's end.
I think this COVID, I can see the happiness that the government is being taken to task in the feeling of the lot of the press. Rather than realizing that this is war, we have to fight it. Who is responsible? I think we as a society are responsible. Instead of blaming others, we should look upon ourselves. I don't know anybody who 1 month ago in the press was talking of a second surge. So instead of, start to playing the blame game and advocating all doom and gloom, which is making our citizens even more, in despair. I think what we got to do is we got to realize there's a war. Let's all get together and fight it. And we'll do the obituaries and the analysis after we win the war.
Correct.
Let's concentrate on the moment to win the war.
Yeah. But even before the second wave, in September last year, there were reports. I saw a Bloomberg report, and which said that our growth suffers from, quote, scars of the virus recession drag on the remaining years of the decade. And then at that point of time, certain political party mouthpieces also said 6 years of the Modi government's rule had led the Indian economy to near collapse. So, clear overplaying.
That COVID has not only affected the economy of our country, it has affected the world. So there's nothing unique that the Indian economy got affected to the extent, but we recovered pretty fast and beyond everybody's expectations. Right? So the doomsdayers have been proved wrong earlier, following the first wave, and they will be proved wrong following the second wave. That's what I feel.
I'm personally, Rakesh.
Most people are underestimating India's potentiality and ability to grow and the junction at which we are. Right? And see, Arnab, it's all an opinion. I came to the stock market in 1985 and nobody from a Marwari educated person, chartered accountant will come to the stock market. Then a lot of people told me this, that will happen, that will happen. I said, we'll see what will happen. I feel the stock market will boom. So I go by my opinions, and I have been right and I have been wrong so many times. So I respect other people. We listen to them, but that doesn't mean that we agree with them.
Their idea, those who are playing this game, is I think it's not even about politics. I think it's about perception. And my growing concern individually, personally, has been about whether the right story is going out. And most doers like you, often one would think that let's focus on doing things, but very often the focus needs to be also on perception, especially when grandiloquent statements are made. Let me give you one example. We have a disinvestment target of 1.75 trillion rupees, but the Congress says, and I quote, they did not clear anything, they will sell everything. They want to sell the country. If there is Narendra Modi, you can sell anything in India. So this is not about politics, it's perception.
I don't want to react to all these political matters. I'm not a politician. Let anybody say what he wants, he or she wants. I don't think you saw Bharat Singh in 2003, the BJP was in power. The profit was 200 crores, now the profit is 7,000 crores. Time will bear it out. Every public sector rating which has been sold has been doing wonderfully well after it is privatized. So at least history and legacy is on the side of our opinion. Let us see who's going to be right, who's going to be wrong. And after all, it's a politician's job to criticize. Otherwise, they'll not remain politicians.
That's true. That's true. But what I'm most interested in knowing, Rakesh, from you is how you read the India story vis-a-vis that of China. How do you read our story vis-a-vis that of China? Because
first of all, I want to say that our growth is complementary. It's not that China and India cannot grow at the same time. In fact, I think if they have friendlier ties, they can aid each other's growth tremendously. Second, we also have even Chinese is an ancient civilization with a skilled people, right? Now the question is that there is a dictatorship there which can enforce and impose things, which give short-term gain, but in the long term is going to be painful because we don't know what kind of social unrest there could be in China, right? In India, everything, you can go and visit anything, you can write anything. So our democracy has slowed down, but I think India is now on the threshold of a next stage of growth, right? And I see double-digit growth this year and maybe 6.5% next year, and that going up by 1% every year until we reach 10 to 11%. That's my opinion, that's my thinking, right? And China will surely not be able to grow at these levels, maybe more than 6-7% with the base at which they are. which also is very good. So I think India will also one day reach where China is.
So, Rakesh, those who do their quick analysis always come to quick conclusions. And when we manage to narrow down our trade deficit and increase exports to China by 17%, and I'm talking about September last year, at that point of time, some started writing, and I'm quoting one particular piece which said, with the Indian economy in complete shambles, India needs China and its money more than ever. So this is not the way that you look at it, because you say it's complicated.
Who wrote
This article? This article was published by the Eurasian Times Desk and Eurasian Times Desk, and it was published across. I think it was in the Eurasian Times. It was published in many places, and though I don't agree with these assessments and these broad analysis, sometimes these clickbaitish headlines.
We don't need China's money. China's debt is 323%. China's total debt is 325% to GDP. Our debt is 125%. We don't need their money. Of that, I'm quite sure.
Yeah.
We'll go in spite of them, not because of them.
Rakesh, I always have also followed your views when it came on the farm laws. The same people who are writing these pieces, now I believe there's a lobby in this country, the same people who have a certain position in the Supreme Court, the same people who have a certain position vis-a-vis their analysis of India versus China, the same people who say that India, all our treasury is going to be sold off, our PSUs are going to be sold off, the government will sell everything. These are the same people who are demanding growth on the one side, but who are causing blockades on the other and causing social unrest on the other.
No, I want to tell you in Hindi कि राजेश खन्ना और शमीर टैगोर की मेरी फेवरेट मूवी ऑल प्रेम, उसमें राजेश खन्ना क्या बोलता है गाने में, कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे लोगों का काम है कहना, कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे लोगों का काम है कहना, बीत ना जाए तेरी रहना, समझा ना? तो लोगों का कहने का क्या है, कहने दो, अपन अपना काम करो ना. Why do we bother about anybody who's simply shouting? Right? It's not that we should have an effective opposition in this country. I think it's very much needed. Right? And that's only going to happen when the control of the Congress party is not going to remain with the Gandhi family. That's my thinking and reasoning, which is still 5-7 years away. Before that, we are going to have no effective opposition in this country. So people may say anything, political leaders say something. Even the BJP used to oppose FDI in insurance when they were not in power. So it's a political game. It will go on.
But again, farm laws. Let's look at farm laws. You've said the farm laws are good, but there were blockades for almost 2 to 3 months, and it did cause a loss to the economy.
The right to protest is a natural democratic right. But this is a protest to protect vested interests. And I think the farmers lost the battle the day when government offered them to keep the laws in aberration for 18 months and a negotiation. In their arrogance, they did not agree. And I think that day the farmers have lost the battle. Because beyond that, the government could not do anything. And according to me, in my opinion, India did 271,000 crore of farm exports from the period April to February of last year. India did 271,000 of farm exports. Exports, between April and February of last year. Right? Now, in order to do all this, you have potatoes not available in Bombay at 40 rupees. And there is no buyer of potatoes for 3 rupees in West Bengal. How are you going to narrow this difference? When you create the logistics of having the ability to store the potatoes and transfer them to different parts of the country economically, who's going to do it? The government? The farmer associations? You will have to involve the private sector. You are giving farmers the biggest freedom. They can say to whom they want. So I don't agree. In Punjab today, there is so much problem on the table of water tables. They are growing paddy in Punjab.
Punjab is the last place in the country where you should grow paddy. And if you keep giving minimum support price, why will the farmer grow any other crop? So I personally feel the change in the farm laws is perfectly justified. Corporate farming, Pepsi is doing corporate farming in Punjab, Coke is doing. Are they having any problems? So I think the farm laws, Mr. Posterity and eminent Mr. Ashok Gulati has said that this is a 1901 movement for agriculture. This farmers' agitation just shows how difficult it is to bring about change in India. And now there are
difficult, but how do you? Where do you see this?
Pardon?
But the vested interests also through a series. You're saying that log to kuch kahenge, logo ka kaam hai kehna. I agree with you. But then when they constantly chip away, and the same people who are talking about the declining economy are also the ones who are encouraging highways to be blocked. They are the ones who are talking about the right to protest on the roads. They say they are saving democracy. They are supporting Shaheen Bagh.
No, I don't judge them. Let them do what they want. But that's not going to stop India. A democracy will eventually get the laws which favor the democracy, which are needed for the democracy. And there are a very small section of farmers. Punjab, part of Haryana and part of Western UP. There is no support for this edition anywhere else in the country.
But does it get over-projected?
Pardon?
Does it get over-projected in the media or elsewhere?
Yeah, because the media doesn't like the present government. So anything negative has to be over-projected.
And why does the media not like the present government?
Well, you ask them that. How do I know?
But it's apparent to you.
Absolutely.
Because the system of privileges has gone away? Perhaps?
I don't know.
Access?
I have not visited Delhi in 5 years. I have not read the accidental Prime Minister in the new power elite. Right? So I don't know anything about all this. How Delhi functions and what the Western interests are and what I know what the privileges are and how does this whole power thing function. I don't know and I'm not interested in knowing.
Rakesh, how important in your view? I'm only looking at macro perspective. What I love the most about your comments is a futuristic perspective. So let me pick up one prophecy that you have made and then link it to our present. It was 2 months ago, since we just spoke about China a while back. It was 2 months ago you said, and I quote, "You may call me a fool. You may call me anything. I may not live to see it, but I can tell you one thing. India will overtake China in the next 25 years. So this was, first question was, what makes you so certain? What is the tell? And second question, if you can also answer that, please, how important is the present political dispensation, the Modi government, the stability we have to that?
I don't want to discuss politics so much now. Let's look at the economic realities. So see, what I say this statement, well, I've seen one thing, that when the forces of growth will unleash themselves, we are underestimating the extent to which they will go. I've learned in the stock market, that the highs are always higher than you ever dreamt. The lows are always lower than what you ever feared. So I think in my perception, when these forces of growth, when reform takes place, it comes together and the forces of growth are unleashed in this country, we are underestimating the kind of growth it will bring in this country. I'm afraid to say it, but I think we could grow more than 10% for decades, for at least 2 decades, just like China did. So I see no reason why we will at least not be able to overtake or reach China's per capita GDP.
Taking it further from there, we've seen how dynamic the global order can be, especially during COVID. So those who are considered the big players are fast changing, new players are coming in. What is the new global order that we should be preparing ourselves for?
China is going to be a big part of the global economic order, and we are also going to be a big part of the global economic order. I think United States influence and power will always remain. I don't know about Europe. and the Soviet Union population is declining. And even in Europe, population is declining. So I think Europe, Japan, Russia may not be as important, but America, China, India are going to be America already is. I think China and India are going to be big players on the world's economic stage, and consequently on the political stage.
Can India be a superpower by 2030? Say 9 to 10 years from now?
I know I will give that at least 1.5 to 2 decades. Real superpower.
And when you say superpower, what are the indices that you look at for a country to achieve that position?
India's political importance, India's contribution to the world economy. I think these are the two main. India's contribution to the world economy, and consequently, remember one thing, that our power flows from the economy. The larger the economy, the greater its importance. I think India undoubtedly will be among the world's top 3 economies. Not on PPP basis, but on active basis.
Does that, in your view, contribute to some of the reasons why? See, all countries have economic issues, but nobody's spoken about in the same way. So allow me to just, reflecting on your point a little bit. Rakesh, Russian economy was projected to contract by 6%. Nobody's abusing them. That's a 11-year low figure according to the World Bank. Saudi Arabia's economy shrank 7%. Their unemployment rate rose to record levels. Japan's economy remained in the negative growth bracket all through 2020. But none of these countries are spoken about in the same way. Now, there are 2 reasons for it. One, either we are a soft target. 2, people know India's potential. Like Rakesh Jhunjhunwala does, there are others also around who know India's potential and therefore are creating an anti-India narrative.
When you start with doubt, you end with certainty. Good, there are gloom dayers, there are doubts, right? In my career, people always doubted whether I'll survive. Right? People thought I'll have to go and beg before my father. So what is the gloom days did not stop me. Their opinions did not stop my progress. So let them say what they want. Apan apna kaam karo na. Let's work to make India prosperous. Finished. Let the world say what they want. Just because they say, India is unsafe. In the weekend a year, 3 gunmen have gone and killed 16 Americans. And America is safe. So that, a police officer in America has just been imprisoned for killing a black person. That is okay. That is America, sir. Indian democracy is not, what is that Pew Institute of Democracy? Indian democracy is not good. In America, you can go and murder anybody. You can kill black people. That democracy is very good. Because they have a big checkbook.
Well, that's because that they can still get away because the lens has not been put on them. And one of my pet peeves, Rakesh, has been the fact that North America and the United Kingdom has put a lens on the entire world. And for me, one of our own ambitions is that there should be global media. We should be broadcasting to the world and producing content to the world from India. So I think one of the things about perception is we always keep going to these newspapers in New York or these channels seeking their gratification. And what I'm hearing from you is that we should stop doing that.
No, I don't say we should read it. We should read everything everybody writes. What's wrong? We should not close our ears. Right? So I don't agree that, we can be we should try to be global media houses. But that doesn't mean that we should not read what they are writing. But we should be affected, not affected to it beyond the point.
Absolutely. We should be yogic about our view. What makes you bet against the grain? Viewers, if you're watching this today, I would take Rakesh Jhunjhunwala's words with a sense of prophecy, because though he keeps saying, and you're hearing him say this, I get some things right, I get some things wrong. Let me tell you, when he bets against the grain, he usually gets it right. So I think a lot of people would want to know that right when the stock market crashed in 2007, you said the Sensex would breach 50,000. That projection seemed bizarre, but lo and behold, Sensex breached 50,000 mark in 2021 and created history. So, Rakesh, what makes you bet against the grain? Do you go with a gut feel? Do you do a lot of research?
No, I do a lot of.
What is a myth? There's a myth that's been created around you. Yeah, you're like the octopus with a supersized brain. What is this gift that you have?
Just a Jewish Indian who got lucky. See, what I feel is that first of all, I believe in India. I believe in our ability to grow. With a maturity that's going to be slow, there are going to be problems, there are going to be doubts.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah.
see, and I'm a born optimist. And it's a question of a glass half full or half empty. See, most Indians are dissatisfied, one, because they face challenges in interaction with government. Right? And second is, and regardless of whichever government there is. And second is, they feel the pace of growth is very slow or much lesser than our potential. And they don't have the patience, or I would even use the word mature, to understand that growth is a process. Reform is a process. You are talking of countries which have been free for 250 years. We have only had 70 years of freedom. For 200 years during British rule, we had no growth. So I am very confident it will take time. It's not easy. There are going to be obstacles. There are going to be doubts. But I have no doubt that we will get there. So anything negative, I think, is another obstacle we have to overcome. And I know when the race is not ending tomorrow, in the race it's not the hare who wins, but the tortoise. But the race should not be ending tomorrow. When it's a long-term race, it's always the tortoise who wins.
What keeps you buzzing? I've heard these reports that even when you were in hospital, you were admitted in bleach candy, you were still looking at the phone, keeping tracks of the markets. There must be something beyond wealth creation that keeps you buzzing. You say you're a national, what keeps you so passionate, Rakesh?
Markets are my life. I mean, it's what difference is money going to make to me? I can't spend what I have. So I won't say that money doesn't mean anything, but that's not the primary reason. It's the enjoyment of being in markets. I love markets. I love the fluctuations. I love to be right or wrong. And I love to see whether I'm right or wrong. And I don't like to use methods by which I can be artificially right, because that doesn't satisfy me or my ego. I'm satisfied if I am right by my own skills, by my intuition, by my learnings. And I know I'm going to make mistakes. I am going to suffer setbacks, and I have. I have to take them in my leap and go ahead.
You got into this.
Arnab, I did the biggest trades of my life from Beach Candy Hospital. I had 16 weeks of bed rest and 3 weeks in the hospital. But I was active like as I ever was. And that kept me in good cheer.
Were you always like this when you started out with the Sensex was at 150 with 5,000 rupees, I've told?
Yeah, I did. And my parents' blessings and whatever skills I have.
What's the biggest bet you've taken so far, Rakesh? What's the biggest bet, the biggest risk you've taken so far?
The biggest risk I took in the 1989 budget of Madhu Ranvate. And risks are, that time I risk said 2 crores. It's equivalent to a risk of 4,000 crores today, 5,000 crores today. So I've never taken that kind. I've never taken a risk in my life other than that Madhu Ranvate budget, where I could have been substantially, by that single act, suffered a mighty financial loss.
So if there were some 3 big predictions that you were to make about the country right here, right now, 3 big predictions about India, what would they be, Rakesh? 3 or 4 or any as you wish to put out. I'm sure you are taking a very long-term view of the country.
I think post 2025, India will go double digit at least for 2 decades or 1.5 decades. Second, we'll have a more cohesive society. Right? And third, these are the two things I feel economically and socially.
I missed the third.
Well, I predict a third is difficult. Maybe India could be the pharma and entertainment center of the world after software. I think entertainment is going to be a very big industry out of India.
Absolutely. And what worries you about our country?
Nothing, my own deeds. I'm not worried about our country. We'll fight our way through. I'm not worried. Every setback will teach us more, will leave us better.
And what's your message to those who get carried away with the gloom and doom brigade? Your passion, your optimism, your unshakable belief in the nation is absolutely contagious. We love it. But what's your message to those who may get carried away by the gloom and doom brigade? Because in today's day and age, I find that there are a lot of people who pass opinion without knowledge, and there is a certain contagious nature to pessimism too.
I'd say I want to write an article actually. Believe in India, my fellow Indians, we will get there. Be optimistic about our country. And learn not to blame others. Look at your own deeds. My father used to say, be afraid of nothing in the world except your own. Look at yourself, what are you doing? So I say, instead of blaming others about this country, about the state of affairs, please look at yourself. What are your deeds? What are your means?
Yeah, absolutely. This has been such a fantastic weekend for us, Rakesh. I was just speaking earlier today to another great, positive and passionate Indian individual, citizen, the founder of Bharat Biotech, Dr. Krishna Ella. Spoke to him about how when he came up with Covaxin, everybody went after him and said this was an example of vaccine nationalism. And I find a great similarity in between you and him, in that both of you have this unshakable ability to just look forward, to be in your own zone and cut out all the negativity. So this has been wonderful speaking to both of you this weekend.
Thank you.
I thank you, Rakesh. You're a very passionate person, and the feel-good factor after speaking to you will be infectious to all our viewers this weekend. Thank you, Rakesh.
Thank you. God bless. God bless you.
Pleasure and privilege talking to you. Thank you, Rakesh. Thank you.
Reading allows us to become familiar with ourselves.
We don't read, we won't know what is knowledge.
I just find it very interesting to know people's lives, how they went through certain situations, how they dealt with things.
So wherever you want to go in life, if you read books along those lines, then that would really help you in growing.
Reading could mean a million different things to every individual. What does it mean to you? Visit readindia.info to find out more.
The Himachal Pradesh Assembly, in line with a few other BJP-ruled states, passed a bill to curb the mass conversions and raise the maximum punishment to 10 years of imprisonment in Freedom of Religion Act.
हिमाचल प्रदेश में आपने देखा होगा कि जो एक नई परिस्थितियां बन रही थी, कई वर्षों से हम देख रहे थे हिमाचल प्रदेश में कि बदले की भावना से, प्रतिशोध की भावना से कुछ चीज़ें होती थी, बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं होती थी लेकिन फिर भी होती थी। हमने उन सारी चीज़ों पर रोकने की कोशिश की।
Now here's some news in brief, viewers. Renowned author Salman Rushdie was taken off